Hello everybody, welcome to Let's Play Command Mission Barbarossa to Berlin. So this is a bit of a synopsis or summary of what happened in the last moment of last episode, which almost made me rage quit here. Everything that was advanced party toward Moscow was wiped out in one whole, just one swat, one fell swoop basically got wiped out and destroyed, more or less 98% to 85%. Yeah, I sifted through the mess here, and then the tally is just horrific. I lost all my motor squads, one T-34. The other T-34 is still able to roll, but that's all it can do since it lost its main gun and machine gun. Lost 3 squads, full of men, have yet to be engaged in battle, was wiped out. I think the other 3 squads, and including 1 HQ unit, now routed, and basically prone on the side of the highway, blown off the transport. I think 3 or 4 transports have been destroyed, and one more probably now stricken and lost a driver. So the tally is horrific, and I think it's going to be very difficult for us to actually go there and capture the Moscow objective. And here I'm trying to move the, carriers, the transports still toward the same intersection where that air raid happened. I don't know whether I'm stupid or what, but maybe I'm thinking optimistic that the lightning does not strike twice. Of course it's lightning, not German Luftwaffe trying to look at the same situation in the same manner and drop the same bomb and cause the same damage. But yeah, they choose a different target this time. Yeah, the rear party. So the advance party, last turn, rear party, the second turn. And there's really no party anymore. It's just a sad tragedy here. Really cannot really, wars really escape me. I cannot really imagine the kind of losses I faced. Not even facing the main armor, the ground units from the Germans. And that BA-10 has been hit by opportunistic German marksman here. I think riding on an armored car or half-track, and was not even able to find it. I guess he was able to only see front or something, although he stuck its head out. And you can see that German vehicle right there picking up from Volokolamsk highway and able to just shoot at it. I don't know how he was able to find it so well. Maybe because it was a high profile perched on top of highway. I'm trying to make it face toward the enemy, but I don't know whether it's going to succeed because that German armored car was shooting very quickly. Alright, so I'm trying to move the infantry here through the pine forest. I guess I'm thinking that maybe it's going to give them enough cover from the glaring eyes of the German Air Force, Luftwaffe. So the BA-10 wants to turn. The BA-10 wants to turn and face the enemy and fight. And this guy is the only surviving transport coming out of the highway. Wow. But BA-10 didn't stand a chance here even to turn. Yeah, sad face. The transport is saved. Yeah, transport is really quickly approaching the church, dropping off the infantry there to supply or reinforce the position that we have near the church. Very tenuous position. And the transport is nice to give a hand for that machine gun. I don't know whether it's actually a good thing or bad thing. T-26 arrived, but the big hulking T-34 shaken, blocking its way. And yeah, the infantry and other soft targets are being targeted by the German air fighter, which is very annoying and almost yeah, it's disastrous. Continued disaster right now happening, unfolding right before my eyes. I don't know whether I can do anything about it though. And we find the German squadron here that has been harassing us so much, and it's a battalion group. And this green squad really do not stand a chance. As you can see, already lost 2 men here, and it's not doing anything, not throwing its multitude of explosives. Just pinned down and being intimidated, so I'm just have to find any available gun to pour into that church and trying to dissuade any further elimination or rout, because I really can't stand I cannot really suffer any more of those kind of losses. You know, at least find a way to break through this impasse right now. Just struggle through the air raid. Anyways, yeah, so I'm trying to get out of the intersection here using all the available transports to transport other infantry that is kind of struggling, and also yeah, move all the troops toward the Volokolamsk highway and to, you know, find a stable front so that we can at least try to ambush the Germans as they come out of the Volokolamsk. And here some of the tanks are trying to still move. Infantry I basically gave up on because these guys are all like damaged really heavily. Lost half of each man in some cases and they're routed and pinned. So I guess I just saved them in the back to conserve points. I never expected to count points before I played half of this scenario, but now yeah, I'm thinking I have to conserve some units because I don't want to lose them needlessly. In any case, yeah, these guys have been firefight, and the German defenders are also trying to contend with the fire support that is emanating from the all the machine guns and guns that I have very low right there with line of sight toward the church. It's really fortunate that they didn't use their main gun because the main gun would have also damaged that Russian squad. I think I gave them order to use the main gun, but they're not doing it because they're smart enough to ignore some crazy orders. Oh, okay, so Stricken T-34 is able to find Panzer III in some kind of ambush and was able to fire a few shots, I think. Hopefully it's going to bear some fruit. It's going to be a bonus for us and a stirring comeback of sorts if I'm able to take out some units that way. And T-26 was unbuttoned unfortunately right in the path of a strafing German fighter and lost the man. Lost the tank commander perhaps. Wow, yeah, the German tankers are really accurate. They're able to shoot very accurately and very fast. That's the problem. They're able to shoot really fast like that. Not even 10 seconds passed, but then the second German tank, perhaps a veteran or something, was able to knock that T-34 out. Very unfortunate. I think we had our aim set on some of these guys traveling on the road, but was not able to take advantage of it. So there was another loss. Yeah, and here I'm just trying to still try to get out of the road here using available tanks we still have. I mean, these guys, the tank that was just hit and knocked out, they're still bailing out, but fortunately I guess the tankers are all intact. They didn't suffer any casualties. Maybe if they were like veteran tankers they would still fight. Yeah, but it's just too much to ask. Alright, so just measuring the line of sight here, trying to expect where the Germans will come out. I'm just trying to hope that they're gonna come out in piecemeal, not in groups, so that we're able to target with multitude of guns. So, such as from T-34s and yeah, mostly T-34s. So bring these guys there and then contend with some infantry there perhaps. I don't know whether the last known location of that guy is. We are trying to also near our distance or close the distance to Volokolamsk and get an objective in the way. Right, so here on the other side, Turgenov highway to Moscow. We're trying to make the infantry or force the infantry to embark on the available transport to continue our way. Maybe it's a good idea or a bad idea. I'm thinking that maybe after 2 explosions, 2 air raid, bombing raid basically that wiped out the entirety of the advanced squad and damaged the rear party here, rear group, that the bombing run is basically over, that they're, you know, the AI will cut me a break or something. And then we can advance our merry way. Yeah, and then just continue on to press on to aggressively take the highway toward Moscow and prepare for the Germans to come out of that corner of the Volokolamsk highway. T-26s are moving. Maybe they have to be very careful because they're being aimed at. They could be aimed at the Panzer III that has just knocked out that tank. Yeah, so I mean they are in the pathway, so they need to really move fast. And here the officer very ably trying to help the stricken squad with only a pistol, and he just enters the church, throwing carry into the wind. And finally the veteran group of tanks are moving, the Lukin among them. So that's the only veteran T-34 we have in our midst. Along with the regular, oh my goodness, another air raid Yeah, another bombing run basically wiped out the rest of the transport. As you can see, the trucks are all gone. Ah, yeah, trucks are all blown to smithereens. And not only that, our regular tank was destroyed. Regular experienced tank destroyed T-34. That is a tremendous loss. More bad news. Gun damaged on our leader tank. Lukin's tank has gun damaged. So he's not able to train its veteran gun on any of the enemy. It is basically rendered toothless. So this is the worst sequence of events, few turns that I have faced in this LP so far, including Beyond Overlord. This is the worst stretch of play that I've experienced just from the air. I don't know how to defend against air. Maybe I should have dispersed the T-34s or something like that. But that was what I was trying to do. And now this guy gets grenaded and routed. So it is leaving their officer cold, who just came in to help. So almost all of our transports got blown, and I don't know what happened to those who were actually on that transport. Probably they got all blown to smithereens as well. I don't know. I just don't want to think about them right now. Maybe they got crawl back out from under the hulking, burning carcasses in order to present themselves to march on the highway. But yeah, lost Lukin's tank too. I mean, basically I lost it because the main gun is damaged, and this guy's being targeted from some armored car that has just destroyed our BA-10. So yeah, I don't know what to really make of this. I'm really rendered speechless. I'm just autopilot trying to, finish the scenario when I haven't really finished even half of the scenario here, because it's 40 plus turn scenario. But the armored car is being targeted by the tank. Let's see how it does, because I mean, it probably arrived a bit too late before it was able to contend that side and then prevent the loss of that recon that was targeted by the armored car there. Yeah, so maybe he's able to save the infantry from being targeted. Yeah, he's rushing in though, rushing in to help his compatriots, or I guess in Soviet Union parlance, comrades. This guy's routed, yeah, coming out of the church. Thankfully, still not really, I don't know whether it was really damaged. Maybe I can salvage some of them and then make them march along the highway after this ordeal. And another B-10 knocked out. Yeah, another B-10 knocked out here, yeah. He was able to just see it coming out of the forest. These guys are really good. These guys are really good and fire really quickly. And they fire at one time, like, multiple projectiles. And yet another raid that basically broke the back of our armored column. This guy is fast retreating. And okay, so finally some good news. The armored car that knocked out a couple of our BA-10s got is just desert by the T-34, which was able to ably kill it with initial shot before it could run away. And this guy is able to make it finally, and hopefully being shielded by that church building. Oh no, he was actually hit from somewhere, I don't know where. I cannot even really visually identify where that shot came from. So it's really chaotic. The bombing raid is happening all the time. Air raid is just decimating our troops left and right. And I don't really know how to effectively challenge it, because I don't have any AAs, or I don't have any yeah, our own Red Army Air Force is missing in action, so they cannot really challenge the air superiority that Germans have. And I can only imagine what would have been like for the Soviet Union soldier, or even I don't know, some Soviet Union army, I guess, Red Army, basically in the early goings of the war, as the Luftwaffe took over the skies and basically did this kind of stuff as they rolled through the through to Moscow and Leningrad and elsewhere. They probably would have been in similar situations such as this. Of course, I wasn't there, obviously. It would have been far worse, but yeah, I can definitely imagine what would have been like, having lost air superiority and being challenged from all sides from the air. And it's basically Blitzkrieg, and this is the first time I'm experiencing it on this game form. I mean, I should thank my lucky stars. I wasn't born in Russia at that time and being conscripted. Always eye into the skies to see whether my imminent death is approaching. So yeah, we're getting control of the church here, thankfully, finally. Yeah, so I at least was able to get that church under control, it seems like. And these soft targets are just so tasty morsels of food presented to the probably the German aces that have now eliminated half of our force. Pretty accurate throw by that, yeah, green troop. Finally making use of the munitions, and this German veteran squad is now running. Probably broken themselves. From the firefight into the graveyard. It's kind of ironic. Finally breaking through the church, and yeah, so things are quieted down a bit after the cauldron, a maelstrom or fire that happened over here. I think the tank losses are just insurmountable. Still being challenged by the fighter unsuccessfully, but I guess they don't have any bombs to drop anymore, so it's just finding targets, and then yeah, they don't even think that these infantry guys are worth it anymore. Yeah, popping its head up. I don't know why the Soviet T-34 tankers constantly button up and unbutton. I don't know why they do it. They just constantly, I just constantly hear the hatches being opened and closed. Maybe because they are really afraid of what is in the air, so they want to have a better look at it. So that's why they open the hatch, and then they see a plane or something, they just immediately go into the tank. That's what I think. Kind of reminds me of that, you know, mole, right? They just come out and then you have to like hit a hammer on the head of the mole. But I guess the other way around. I'm the mole, and the Germans are having a heck of a time trying to hit all the moles, presenting themselves here on the battlefield. I mean, it's just a mess. Look at that. Just transport is blocking the way to our ultimate objective, I guess, to Moscow. And here the tank arrived. There was one of the tanks that survived the first bombing, and then is able to position itself in good position, overlooking the area as the Germans might come out of the highway. And here I'm not so sure about this area because the angles are a bit too steep, so that a German tanker who is actually pretty experienced will be able to pick apart one tank without being seen by the other. So I had to adjust and then try to turn or something in order to at least get a fighting chance, because T-34s, you know, even though they may have broken down in the first month because of rather poor mechanical status, they still have a pretty good amount of armor in the front, especially in the lower halt chassis. So I think I suffered their friendly fire because I ordered the main gun to be fired toward the church, or toward the veteran squad that just came out of the church, and then he fired a high explosive shell and damaged the guy, unfortunately. And we're constantly being harassed by the we've been constantly being harassed by the German fighters, and I just really have no hope of, you know, that. I mean, yes, already there. They have to like pull up a hatch or go into the tank. Maybe he was hurt. Lieutenant Lukin got hurt or injured or something. And this guy, yeah, unfortunately the tank was not able to fire the shot, although he had a aim. And Lukin, I think, lost a man in the tank because of he was unbuttoned as he was as a German fighter was strafing it. But then he's still able to move and then hopefully transport some troops on the top of each tank. Alright, so many things are happening, folks. I'm having trouble keeping up with my commentary. I'm sorry for that. Seems rather chaotic, and then this editing really doesn't help. Trying to really show you all the action up close and personal. Yeah, so I hope that you understand what is happening here as I show you the overhead map. I mean, we're trying to advance through the highway, trying to push away the burning hulls of the trucks that were on transport, and also trying to make it to Volokolamsk highway on the other side. The ultimate goal, as you can see, is trying to capture that objective toward Moscow. That's going to mean that we're effectively trapping the Germans and not allowing more Germans to actually putting a siege on the capital. So I'm trying to move and coax the guys here who've already been broken to move into next cover. But as you can see, the order takes around 1 minute for it to actually work, for them to act upon. So you really have to be constantly remind myself basically to kind of keep them moving, because if I cancel the command while they're moving, then it's going to take another minute for them to act upon the command, so it's going to have a lot of delay before they can actually move to my change command. So I cannot really change command easily anymore after I set them, because of course I'm going to lose more minutes. And I think even though I'm at only turn 26, I think I'm running out of time, especially when it comes to going to Moscow. And here the veteran group that was defending the church meets its end right there. I guess pretty apropos in the graveyard. Many more graves will be set up here after all said and done. It's just crazy. I have never faced this kind of challenge before from the air. I mean, and from the air, I guess it still takes account of the skills of the pilot and all that, but they drop accurately 4 or 5 bombs into the main group of guys and destroyed like half of our tanks. And this tank is not bogged down, so the Lukin's tank is bogged down unfortunately, so it cannot even be used as transport. And here I'm trying to do what Lukin was trying to do before being bogged down, moving the troops using the tanks. And here the T-26 wants to get out, but unfortunately there's some tanks now in front of it, stopping for some reason. These green and conscript level units really can't act quickly to the command, so they take around 1 minute, if it's long, 2 minutes and 30 seconds before they start to move. So yeah, it's pretty difficult. And finally this guy arrived pretty quickly for the church. This is our dropping point where the, maybe I should have gone a bit further, but yeah, the soldiers will try to go from there and then perhaps travel on foot. Maybe if I have another vehicle ready, I can probably use it to transport more troops further before the Germans are able to see the stretch of highway, and they will soon. Alright, so yeah, try to see the line of sight. It's kind of weird. I can see one side of the highway but not across the highway. Need to make sure that I get rid of the Germans quickly before they get to use that area. And here I'm trying to move. This is a stricken tank with everything cut out. Main gun and machine gun is not available to this guy, but still may be able to move and then scout for us, as it has plenty of armor and is able to maybe travel fast using the T-34. Luckily the chassis, the track or the drive engine wasn't knocked out, so yeah, still able to function in that condition. Yeah, it's going to be our best recon vehicle that we have right now. Alright, so let's continue on. Because I have given orders from previous turn, I'm just still waiting for them to act upon these commands. When will they start to move? I have no idea. Maybe it's gonna take 30 seconds to 1 minute. And these guys are basically unscathed because I think I was lucky to just put them in the pine trees, and then they were not targeted because it could cover. And Lukin is able to pop himself back up. Yeah, so being bogged down in the snow is not the end of the world for the T-34s. He's able to actually maybe reverse and go forward a bit and get out of the snow after a while. And this guy is a veteran guy, so he was able to do it pretty quickly. So I was surprised that the bug T-34 is able to get out of the snow. Maybe it was KB1 or KB2 would not have been possible. I mean, I saw in Katukov Strikes Back that one of the KB1s that were stuck in the mud was not able to move at all for the remainder of the scenario, so it's too heavy. Yeah, so our recon tank, the T-34, is moving. And this guy is being targeted by the armored car, unfortunately. Yeah, so I moved a bit too forward, and this guy's broken. Routed, and we just have to see what we have here. And the tanks are on it. Yeah, so it's just the moment where the infantry was routed, and then here where we were able to respond, but I was not able to do it before the infantry was targeted. And here too, yeah, the armor car that actually targeted infantry, not the half track, is keep targeting the squad who's basically broken and running away. I put a tank up there on the highway, Turgenov highway, to basically there south of the church in order to target such vehicles that are coming out of that area. But I don't think it was, you know, it wasn't enough to actually see the armored car coming out of there before he was able to rout that squad, the advanced infantry. Yeah, so still waiting for the units to act upon the order. Just to get out of the intersection and to expand our lines, bring more tanks up the front to challenge the German armored column that seems to start out now, trying to challenge us in our drive toward Moscow. So need to really get out and then prepare ourselves for not only the half-tracks and armored cars, but the panzers that seem to be pretty formidable from what I've seen so far. Yeah, so this guy has to move, but yeah, it's the T-34 right there is blocking the way. And some of the tanks that have got out wants to arrange itself into a nice formation. And so just tracking this side, and here is the recon tank trying to move up and maybe hide behind that building, but this Panzer 3 or 4, I think that's Panzer 3, was able to target it, and then not only that, after it missed, it moved a bit forward in order to target it better. I have never seen this before from an enemy tank. So it missed, but then after having recognized where the tank is, or moving, he was able to track it and then destroy it. It was trying to hide behind a building, but it was still able to hit the engine and then knock it out. That's the amount of experience that we are dealing with. Yeah, so deal with it. Dealt with it like that. So I mean, that's good news that we were able to break that armored car that was targeting our infantry, and in the process of eliminating it. And finally we are beginning to move. T-26s are just brushing off that destroyed transport like it's some scrap metal, and then yeah, able to use the road to drive down the highway. It's a good thing to see. Yeah, and then the second T-26 is following suit, pushing it out of the road, which is what I want them to do. Yeah, so we made a nice corridor through the highway, although T-34 might be a bit too wide for that, so it has to probably push out more trucks. Finally, the T-26s are starting to move. I'm basically trying to move them toward that objective near Moscow and trying to contend with possible defenders there. I'm thinking that maybe some scattered infantry might be there defending it, because I haven't really seen a peep of them. Yeah, so the squadron that has been bombed and still stricken is returning back from their broken status, so they're able to listen to commands and then act upon them, but it takes some time for them to actually get out and start moving, making them even more vulnerable from the air. I wonder where Red Air Force is. I don't know what the condition was like during the war, really, but I'm sure that the air superiority belonged to the Germans in the first phase of the war, at least until the winter of 1940-42, or I think it's 42, yeah. As you can see, I'm using the T-26s to stop, yeah, stop right there behind the buildings in order to, you know, be shielded from any prying Germans, and even worse, being destroyed by their guns. And we're trying to reverse to transport more troops to the front. Yeah, trying to do that human wave thing. Although, I mean, if your troops have experience level less than regular, I don't think you can do human wave. You can only do move command and assault. And if you're conscript level, I think you can only move. You cannot even do assault. Run and move, that's all. Alright, so let's see whether this little tracking by T-26 is going to work. So they're moving pretty fast. Yeah, they're pretty fast tanks. But they stop in the midway for some reason. I don't know why they stopped there. I told them to actually move like right past the church, but they just stopped there for no reason. I don't know why that happened. Maybe it has to do with experience level. Maybe they pulled something. Maybe they saw something in the sky. I'm not so sure, but they stopped right in the middle of the road. I just don't understand some behavior. Yeah, and then it's going to make ourselves a bit vulnerable to any skirmishes, I guess, that might happen across the field here. And the other tanks, yeah, still behind, starting to move here. So I mean, oh, you can see the plane right there in the lower right. Yeah, so we have some air force on our own, maybe strafing the Germans there as well. But I mean, it's not really that much. I don't think it's enough to really challenge them or even cut down their forces the way they're able to do our own. And here, yeah, because it stopped on the highway, it was targeted by this half track now, being I don't know what is going to happen with that, because half track, I don't know what kind of caliber weapon it has, but yeah, I mean, if they moved, they wouldn't face this kind of predicament. They would just move right along and then be away from the German attack, the possibility of German attack, but now they are being targeted. And these tanks really cannot help because yeah, it's just outside of its line of sight, so it's too bad. And that T-34 just, beside that T-26 that stopped, cannot even target it because the line of sight is simply not there, so it's really unfortunate. I mean, I don't know why it stopped. It's still scratching my head over that. I think it has to do with the experience level, where they just decide to stop and have a drink or something. Um, yeah, I mean, they could see that the entirety of the road was clear. And yeah, I cannot really do anything about that. I cannot really help that T-26. The line of sight is simply not there. Maybe I should move the tank a bit to make sure that both of these guys have the same amount of, same type of line of sight, but you can only do so much, because if I try to move, it's gonna take another 60 seconds for them to act upon it. So you just have to leave it. Yeah, so we are engaged in fight here. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Half-Track might have some weapons in its sleeves, and it was able to damage the gun, which is basically a death knell, death sentence for the T-26. When it comes to the fight, and one casualty, yeah, I mean, things are really getting bad. This Half-Track is able to damage it. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that Half-Track doesn't miss at all. My goodness, from the distance. It's just a sitting duck, and it was knocked out like that. I don't understand, like, I just don't understand some of the things that happen here in this, yeah, this just scratching my head still. I don't know. This guy now moves and then just pushing this thing away, but maybe it's too late because he already have given the half track, you know, it gave away its position, right? And now T-34 is being targeted, but T-34 cannot see the half track for some reason, for some I don't understand what is happening here. It's surely being targeted by the half track, but it's not able to see it. Yeah, it's not able to see it. It's outside of its line of sight. It could have helped that T-26 before it really became very bad. I don't know. I mean, things are really looking bad for us. In our latest attempt to travel to Moscow, hopefully the other T-26 is able to survive and then able to make it past that church and beyond. And yeah, for now, I'm just trying to make sure that we get the tanks to the front lines and to wait for the Germans to pick its head out, and maybe we live to ambush him. That's going to be the best case scenario. Alright, so yeah, I mean, it's been pretty interesting scenario so far. A lot of battle, just air raids to end all air raids. I don't think I'll be able to look in the sky the same way anymore in combat mission games. Yeah, it was just really, really tremendous, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and next time in combat mission, please stay tuned.